You were not born by accident. You were not placed here by chance. Before the foundations of the earth were laid, your name was written, your steps ordained, your purpose designed. You are chosen, and because you are chosen, you cannot live like everyone else. Others may walk an easy path, but for you, there is a calling far greater than comfort, and because of that, there are seasons you cannot skip, lessons you cannot avoid, and fires you must endure. There are times when you've prayed for shortcuts, pleaded for immediate answers, and begged God to remove the weight of the process. But hear this, God is not denying you, He is preparing you. The delay is not rejection, it is formation. The silence is not abandonment, it is alignment. He will not allow you to bypass what is necessary to shape you into who you were created to be. Every chosen one must walk through the wilderness. The wilderness is where God strips away what cannot go with you into the promised land. It is where He removes false dependencies, exposes hidden idols, and tears away every attachment that would limit your destiny. It is in the wilderness where you learn that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. And yes, it is painful. Yes, it is lonely, but in that solitude you will encounter the voice of God in a way you never could amid the noise. Do not despise the fire, for the fire is the refiner's hand. The gold does not complain when it is placed into the furnace. It submits to the heat because it knows what is being removed is less valuable than what remains. In the same way, God is burning away the things that cannot stay, the things that cannot coexist with your calling. Your suffering is not in vain. Your pain has purpose. You are being refined, set apart, prepared for something greater than you can yet imagine. Understand this. You were not chosen for mediocrity, for compromise, or for comfort. You were chosen for impact, for influence, for eternal significance. That is why the battle is harder for you than for others. That is why the attacks are fiercer, the delays longer, the tests deeper. The weight you carry is proof of the assignment you hold. God disciplines those He loves, and He equips those He sends. The path of the chosen is never the easiest, but it is always the most meaningful. And when you cannot see the way forward, trust the one who goes before you. When the doors seem closed, trust that He is preparing the right ones to open. When the answers seem delayed, trust that He is aligning every detail to work for your good. Do not compare your journey to others. What God is doing in you is unique, deliberate, and divine. The greater the calling, the deeper the preparation. What looks like a detour is actually the hand of God directing your steps. So, do not resist the season you are in. Do not curse the process. Do not despise the silence. Lean in, listen closely. Let Him teach you, mold you, and transform you. Because when the refining is complete, when the testing has done its work, when the wilderness has released its wisdom, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and ready to walk fully into the destiny written for you. You are chosen, and because you are chosen, you cannot skip this. At any cost, God will finish what He started in you. The waiting will make sense, the pain will find purpose, the fire will reveal your true strength. And when the time comes, you will see every delay was divine, every battle was necessary, and every season was preparing you for the promise. If you want, I can now create 5 more deep, prophetic key points, and make this speech even longer, more powerful, and more emotional, exactly like Jonathan Cahn's sermons. Do you want me to? You said, expand, Key. Why, no one about 600 words without headings, and don't add ending remarks, ChatGPT said. God's chosen ones are not called to live ordinary lives, and because of that, their journey cannot follow the patterns of the world. When God has set His hand upon you, when He has written your name into His divine plan, every step of your life is orchestrated with purpose. But purpose requires preparation, and preparation comes through process. That process often leads through seasons that test your endurance, your faith, and your willingness to surrender. You cannot bypass them. You cannot rush them, and you cannot escape them, because they are not meant to break you, they are designed to build you. When you are chosen, you will find that the path God places before you is rarely the easiest one. While others may rise quickly, take shortcuts, and seem to succeed without struggle, your story will look different. You will walk through valleys where prayers feel unanswered, climb mountains where strength feels insufficient, and stand in moments where silence surrounds you. But understand this: God allows these seasons because He is shaping you into someone who can carry the weight of the calling He has placed upon you. What He has for you is too great to entrust to untested hands. There are times when God will take you into hidden places, pulling you away from the noise, distractions, and even relationships that once defined your life. This separation may feel painful, but it is divine. He is removing what cannot stay, stripping away every false identity, and preparing you for an assignment that cannot be fulfilled with the same mindset, habits, and dependencies you once had. In those moments when you feel isolated, do not mistake it for abandonment. Isolation is often God's sanctuary for transformation. Every trial you face is part of this divine preparation. Trials refine the heart and purify intentions. They expose where faith is weak and where trust must deepen. They teach you to rely on God's strength rather than your own. When everything else is removed, when there is nothing left to lean on but Him, you discover the unshakable foundation of your identity in Christ. And it is there, in the wilderness, where He whispers His secrets, reveals His heart, and shows you who you truly are. The chosen ones carry a weight others do not understand. They are entrusted with assignments bigger than themselves, and because of that, God cannot allow them to remain unprepared. You cannot inherit the promise without enduring the process. You cannot walk into destiny without learning to trust the one who leads you. This is why the tests come, not to punish you, but to prepare you, not to weaken you, but to strengthen you. Each struggle, each delay, each unanswered question is shaping the person you must become for the future He has designed. There will be moments when you ask, "Why me?" You will look at the lives of others and wonder why their path seems easier, why their blessings seem quicker, why their doors seem wider. But remember this: the weight of your process matches the size of your calling. God deals with His chosen ones differently because He is preparing them for something uncommon. He cannot allow you to settle where others settle, compromise where others compromise, or give up where others give up. Where they see obstacles, He calls you to see opportunity. Where they choose comfort, He calls you to choose faith. And though the preparation is long, the refining is painful, though the process seems unending, know this: every moment has meaning. Nothing you face is wasted. God is building endurance, shaping character, and instilling wisdom that will sustain you in the days ahead. He is not delaying your promise. He is preparing you to handle it, because when the appointed time comes, you will not just step into destiny, you will be ready to carry it. You said, "Expand KE." Why, no two about 600 words without headings, and don't add ending remarks, ChatGPT said. The refiner's fire is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to transform you. When God chooses someone for a higher purpose, He takes them through seasons that burn away everything that cannot remain. It is never comfortable, and it is rarely easy, but it is necessary. Just as gold is placed into intense heat to remove its impurities, so too are the chosen ones placed into situations where their weaknesses, fears, and hidden burdens rise to the surface. God does not allow this process to harm you, but to purify you, shaping you into the vessel He destined you to be. There are moments in life when you feel as though everything familiar is being stripped away. The plans you built seem to fall apart, relationships shift, opportunities vanish, and doors you thought would open remain closed. In those moments, the natural response is to ask why the sudden losses, why the endless trials, why the unexpected pain. But in the divine perspective, nothing is wasted. God is removing what cannot carry into your future. He is separating what is temporary from what is eternal, teaching you to place your hope not in things that fade but in Him, the unchanging one. The fire reveals what you truly carry. It tests the foundations of your faith. When everything around you is shaken, you discover whether your trust is in circumstances or in God Himself. Many desire the promise, but few are willing to endure the process required to receive it. The chosen ones cannot bypass this refining because their calling is greater than their comfort. God is preparing them for battles they do not yet see, assignments they do not yet understand, and blessings they cannot yet comprehend. The refining fire ensures that when the promise comes, you are ready to handle it without being destroyed by it. This process is not punishment, it is promotion in disguise. God loves you too much to allow you to walk into your destiny unprepared. He sees what you cannot see. He knows the weight of the calling on your life, and He knows what it will require. The fire is His way of equipping you with unshakable faith, unbreakable strength, and unmovable trust in Him. Without it, you would step into your promise still carrying things that could sabotage it. The attitudes, fears, and dependencies that once sustained you cannot survive where God is taking you. Understand that refinement is also separation. God does not just remove impurities from your life. He removes people, places, and patterns that are no longer aligned with your purpose. Some connections you once thought were permanent will fall away, and doors you assumed were yours will close. It will hurt, but every loss is making room for something greater. He is sanctifying you, setting you apart, and calling you to live differently because your destiny requires a different level of obedience, discipline, and surrender. The fire also teaches patience. It teaches you to wait on God's timing rather than forcing your own. There will be days when it feels like nothing is changing, when it seems as though God is silent, but silence is not absence. In those still moments, He is working beneath the surface, aligning circumstances, preparing opportunities, and shaping your heart to receive what He has promised. You cannot rush the refining process. If you leave the fire too soon, the impurities remain. But if you trust Him and endure, what emerges on the other side will be stronger, purer, and ready for greater things. There is a depth of faith that can only be forged in the fire. There is a strength that can only be born out of struggle, and there is a wisdom that only comes through surrendering to God's process. You may not understand it now, but one day you will look back and see that every trial, every delay, and every painful season was a divine preparation for the life you were created to live. The fire is not there to consume you. It is there to reveal the gold within you. You said, "Expand, K. Why, no 3 about 600 words without headings, and don't add ending remarks," ChatGPT said. Obedience is the true measure of faith, and for the chosen ones it is non-negotiable. When God sets His hand upon your life, He calls you into a journey where surrender must outweigh comfort, and trust must overcome understanding. You cannot walk into your destiny on your own terms. There are seasons where the chosen ones long for an easier path, where skipping the struggle feels like the only logical choice, but God will not allow it. He knows that without these moments of testing, you cannot become the person He has called you to be. Obedience is not about convenience, it is about transformation. There will be times when the voice of God calls you away from familiar places, away from things you thought you could not live without. He will lead you into territories unknown, asking you to take steps without showing you the full map ahead. For many, this creates tension, the desire to control, to plan, to understand, yet God's command remains the same: trust me. Every instruction, every delay, and every closed door carries divine purpose. When you are chosen, you are required to trust His timing even when it conflicts with your desires. The chosen ones are often set apart, called to walk roads others cannot understand. You will watch people around you take shortcuts, compromise values, and still seem to succeed, and you will wonder why God does not allow you the same freedoms, but His standards for you are different because your assignment is different. What others can skip, you cannot. What others can ignore, you must confront. What others can settle for, you must rise above. It is not punishment, it is preparation for the weight of the calling you carry. Obedience requires sacrifice, and sacrifice demands faith. There will be seasons where God asks you to let go of relationships, opportunities, or even dreams you have held tightly, not because they are wrong, but because they are not part of the greater plan. This is where the chosen ones wrestle the most, the tension between what they want and what God wills. But surrendering to His purpose unlocks blessings far beyond what human plans can achieve. Every act of obedience builds a foundation of trust, aligning your heart with His and shaping you into someone who can steward divine assignments faithfully. You will face moments where God asks you to wait when everything inside you wants to move, and other times He will call you to act when fear tells you to stay still. Both require courage. Both require trust. Obedience means choosing His voice over your feelings, His word over your logic, and His promises over your doubts. It means believing that even when you cannot see the end of the road, God has already prepared the destination. The process is rarely easy, but it is intentional. Each test of obedience strips away self-reliance and builds dependence on God alone. It humbles you, refines your motives, and develops the endurance needed for greater assignments. Where others crumble under pressure, you will stand, not because you are stronger, but because you have been trained to trust Him deeply. What feels like restriction today is actually protection. Tomorrow, God is guarding you, preserving you, and ensuring that when you step into your promise, nothing within you will sabotage it. When you are chosen, obedience becomes the gateway to elevation. It positions you for divine favor and aligns you with the perfect timing of God. You may not understand why certain doors remain closed or why certain prayers remain unanswered, but obedience says, "I will trust you anyway." That trust unlocks supernatural breakthroughs and blessings that human striving can never achieve. For the chosen ones, comfort can never come before calling. Journey demands surrender, and in surrender, God equips you to walk boldly into the destiny He has prepared for you. You said, expand why no 4 about 600 words without headings, and don't add ending remarks, ChatGPT said. There comes a time in the life of every chosen one when God begins a work of separation. It is not rejection, and it is not abandonment, it is preparation. When God has called you to a higher purpose, He cannot allow you to remain surrounded by the same voices, patterns, and environments that once shaped your past. There are places you used to belong, people you once depended on, and seasons that once sustained you. But when God is elevating you, He begins to shift everything around you. Suddenly, what once felt familiar starts to feel uncomfortable, and what once satisfied your heart no longer does. This is the evidence that God is moving you forward. Separation is rarely easy. It often feels like loss, but in reality, it is divine alignment. God knows that where He is taking you, not everyone can follow. There are relationships, attachments, and influences that may have served a purpose for a season, but cannot carry into your destiny. When God removes certain people from your life, it is not always because they are bad, but because they are not assigned to your next chapter. He is creating space for new connections, new opportunities, and new dimensions of purpose that are in harmony with your calling. Elevation requires transformation, and transformation often requires isolation. God draws you away into secret places where He can deal with you directly, free from distractions and competing voices. It is in those quiet, hidden seasons that He reshapes your perspective, heals old wounds, and prepares your heart for greater things. You may feel forgotten, but you are not forgotten. You are being refined. Chosen ones are trained in obscurity before they are revealed in influence. God hides you, not to withhold blessings from you, but to protect and equip you for what lies ahead. This separation also involves releasing old patterns and habits. There are mindsets you once carried, fears you once entertained, and compromises you once allowed, but they cannot survive in the place God is calling you to. He is removing everything that would hinder your growth, everything that would pull you backward when He is leading you forward. Sometimes He allows discomfort to rise in places that once felt safe because he knows you will never step into the new if you remain too attached to the old. With separation comes testing. God will often allow you to feel the tension of walking away from what is familiar without yet seeing what He has prepared. This requires faith, the kind of faith that believes His promises even when the evidence around you seems silent. It is in these moments that you learn to trust God's hand when you cannot trace His plan. He will strip away the things you thought you needed so you can discover that He alone is your source, your strength, and your provider. Elevation is never accidental, it is intentional. God calls His chosen ones higher, but with greater callings come greater responsibilities. He must prepare you to handle the weight of influence, the pressure of leadership, and the spiritual battles that await on higher ground. That preparation demands maturity, discipline, and unwavering faith, and so He separates you, teaching you to rely completely on Him. What once worked before will not work where you are going. What once defined you will no longer define you. God is setting you apart because He is about to set you above. You may not understand the doors He has closed or the relationships He has removed, but nothing He takes is ever without purpose. Every shift is part of His divine strategy to align you with the right people, the right places, and the right timing. Trust the separation, trust the silence, trust the process, because what feels like loss today is actually preparation for greater elevation tomorrow. God is positioning you for something beyond what you can see, and though the journey feels unfamiliar, it is leading you exactly where you are meant to be. You said, expand key, why no 5 about 600 words without headings, and don't add ending remarks, ChatGPT said. There are seasons in life when God calls His chosen ones to walk by faith and not by sight, when the path ahead seems hidden and the answers remain unclear. These are the moments when trust becomes more than words, it becomes a way of life. To be chosen means to be led by the unseen hand of God, to believe His promises even when your circumstances appear to contradict them. It is in these seasons that your faith is stretched, your patience tested, and your heart refined, not to weaken you but to position you for what He has prepared. Trusting God is not simply about believing in His power, it is about resting in His timing. There will be moments when it feels as though heaven is silent, when your prayers seem unanswered and your hopes delayed. But silence does not mean absence, and delay does not mean denial. God is at work even when you cannot see Him. Behind the scenes, He is orchestrating details, aligning opportunities, and preparing you for blessings far greater than you imagined. He knows the exact moment when doors must open and when certain chapters must begin. What looks like a pause to you is often divine positioning. The chosen ones often face longer seasons of preparation because their calling carries greater weight. God is not only preparing what He has for you, He is preparing you for what He has. This means that before the promise comes, there are lessons to learn, character to build, and strength to develop. He allows you to face challenges, delays, and even disappointments so that your trust in Him deepens beyond what is seen. When everything around you feels uncertain, you learn that your foundation cannot be built on circumstances, but only on His unchanging word. There will be times when you cannot make sense of the journey. Doors you expected to open will remain closed, opportunities you thought were yours will pass by, and people you thought would stay will walk away. Yet, in every unexpected turn, God is guiding you toward the exact place He has designed for you. He sees the road you cannot see. What feels like a setback is often a divine redirection. Where you see confusion, He sees clarity. Where you see loss, He sees preparation for gain. The chosen ones are called to trust the process even when the process makes no sense. Faith does not mean you will never face fear or doubt, but it does mean you refuse to let fear have the final word. Trusting God is choosing to believe that His plans are greater than your own, even when they lead you into unfamiliar territory. Sometimes he will close a door because what's behind it is too small for the destiny he has prepared. Other times he will delay a blessing because your heart is not yet ready to carry its weight. Every no, every not yet, and every unanswered prayer is a part of the divine design leading you closer to his perfect will. Trust also requires surrender. It is the decision to release control and allow God to lead, even when the destination is unseen. Chosen ones are called to walk paths that require total dependence on him because their assignments are greater than their abilities. He strips away self-reliance so that his strength can be made perfect in your weakness. In this place of surrender, you begin to see his faithfulness in ways you never could when you relied on your own understanding. The hand of God is never late, never careless, and never uncertain. Every step of your journey has been ordered. Every delay carries purpose. Every difficulty is shaping you for destiny. The chosen ones are not forgotten. They are being prepared. When the time is right, when the season is fully aligned, God will reveal why he led you the way he did. Until then, he calls you to walk by faith, to trust what you cannot see, and to believe that his plan is unfolding perfectly, even in the silence.